Blake Tyrell claims his ex-girlfriend spent too much money trying to impress his parents with a new hair color. Elise Williams says he willingly paid for the new color right before he dumped her.
Mr. Tyrell, you are suing your former girlfriend, Ms. Williams, for $810 that you say she owes you for professional hair coloring because, according to you, it was a big waste of your money. Tell me what happened.
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct. I'm suing my ex-girlfriend, Elise, for breach of our agreement of $810 for money I gave to her to redo her hair to meet my conservative parents.
Okay, let's talk about this. How long were you dating her?
About 2 years.
Okay, and in 2 years she hadn't met your parents?
No, so she actually moved to LA about a year after we had known each other, and we didn't get serious until a few months after that.
And your parents are living where? In LA or somewhere else?
They're in LA, they're in the Valley.
Okay, all right. So how did it come to being that she was going to finally meet your parents? Whose idea was that?
Right, so after a while of being together and being serious, I spent a lot of time reassuring her that my parents are very close-minded and conservative and judgmental.
Okay.
And Elise has a fiery personality and appearance. And
okay, but are you happy? That was a question. It's not your parents aren't dating her, you were dating her, so they would kind of have to just go with the flow.
Yes, I was very happy in our relationship.
Okay, well then who cares if your parents... So what were you warning her to do or not do? What were you telling her? You should be warning your parents, but anyway, what were you warning her to do or not do?
Well, I would like to clarify, I thought she looked beautiful with her existing hair color.
Okay.
But because she was so adamant on meeting my parents, she thought it would be a good idea to dye her hair a more natural color. And I supported that, and I offered to pay for it.
All right, what color was your hair that we had to dye it for his parents? Like, what exactly are we talking about here?
I actually have a photo I can show you, if that's okay.
Thank you.
That was my hair when I came to LA.
Okay, it's kind of cool. Like, it's not even that renegade. I really expected to see something different. All right, in any event, and according to you, was that his idea for you to color your hair for his parents, or your idea for you to color your hair for his parents?
So I thought, you know, I'm in love with this man, and this is something I want to take seriously. I offered to change my hair.
Okay. How does this even come up? I mean, you say to him, maybe I should change my hair color to a more natural, like it was your idea?
Essentially, what had happened was we were arguing about it, and I really...
About your hair color?
About meeting his parents.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, about meeting his parents.
And what kinds of things was he saying about it?
He was saying that they wouldn't accept me for how I looked.
Because what?
Your Honor, if I could chime in here.
Yeah, because what?
I never said they wouldn't accept her. I said that my parents, I'm not
would have a
close
heart
to them.
attack.
Pretty much.
Okay, that's kind of the same thing, isn't it? And why? Just because her hair color was red, or was there more?
I mean, my parents are very conservative and close-minded.
Yeah, my hair color's red. Like, I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand. You know, I mean, does she have tattoos and nose rings? Like, what was there other stuff going on that somehow you felt like she had to adapt to your parents?
She did have tattoos, and she did have a nose ring at the time, so that is true. And also, my parents do help me out financially, so I did want to make sure that, you know, I didn't burn any bridges with them there.
You're a little old to have someone dictating your life because of financial strings like that, like puppeteering you. I don't know how much of this is you and how much of it is them, is the thing. Did you ever end up meeting his parents?
No, I never met his parents.
What happened?
He thought I was cheating on him, so he broke up with me before I could meet his parents.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Your Honor, I have reason to believe that she was cheating on me.
What was the reason you had to believe it?
So the day after she got her hair done, I took her to dinner, and afterwards we went back to my apartment. We hooked up, she went into the shower. It was very late. Her phone was ringing off the hook, so after a couple of calls of it ringing...
Do you know who it was? Could you see, did it have a name?
So I went to the phone and I saw that it was her grandma.
Okay.
And given how late it was, I was worried it was an emergency, so I answered. It was a man's voice asking where his bae was.
That's not so great.
Coming up on Justice for the People.
you know, when we discussed this, I imagined her new hair would cost $150. She ended up going to a celebrity stylist and spent $800.
And later,
He installs a tub, and what's the problem?
Well, one, the tub is too small. My father, as I said, is a very large fellow. He's about 420 pounds. And also the tub leaked as well.
if you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to... This is Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with the case of Blake Tyrell and his ex-girlfriend, Elise Williams, who are arguing over an expensive dye job.
That's not him hallucinating that you're cheating on him. What was that about?
So, someone that I work with a lot on set, because I'm a model, he mistook my kindness for flirting, and in the heat of the moment, he kissed me. And I freaked out because I was about to get my hair changed, about to meet his parents. I'm in love with this man. I'm taking this seriously. So I thought, let me hold off on saying anything.
I don't know how somebody, I need to imagine the circumstances. Because if someone comes in for a kiss and I don't want it, it didn't happen because this happens. So how did he, were you pouring your soul out to him or something? Were you in his arms? Like, how did he feel comfortable just smacking a kiss on you out of left field?
We were on set shooting, and
And?
he just, I don't know, maybe,
Did you like this guy?
no, he's just a friend.
How long was the kiss?
It was, I don't know, 2 seconds, really quick.
Okay, and then based on that, he burns your phone and calls you bae? Maybe it was a little more than that.
It definitely wasn't.
All right, whatever. I don't really care if it was or wasn't. He thinks you should pay him back the $810 because in the end, he only gave you that money for you to change your hair to please his persnickety parents who wouldn't approve of you if you have this hair color, but then magically will if you have that hair color. And what say you to that? Do you think you owe him the money?
No, I fulfilled my end of the bargain. I got my hair changed, and I was fully intending to meet his parents and then let him know what had happened. But before I could even say anything, he broke up with me.
Okay, have you talked to him since?
No,
And have you tried to?
no. I want
Your Honor,
nothing to do
she-
with it.
After 2 years, just like boom, that was that?
I mean, the way that he reacted,
How did he react? What was it he did?
it was scary, honestly.
Why? What did he do?
He was yelling at me, screaming at me, frantic. It scared me, and I didn't want to be a part of that.
So
I
what did
got
you
rid
do?
of it.
You left because you guys were at his apartment or your apartment?
His place.
All right, and so then you left?
He kicked me out, I left, and I blocked him.
I was going to say, if I may, I might have had an emotional reaction initially, of course.
Of course you did.
Right, and I did try to...
Oh, I don't want to tell you what I would do if that happened, and
Right.
to me with hey, where's my bae? I'll give you some bae.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
It hurt, and it still hurts.
Right.
And I did want to talk to her. I thought we could work this out just by talking, but she actually blocked me, and I have the...
I believe you.
Text
She told me
receipts.
she blocked you. Have you ever had fidelity problems with each other before this?
No, our relationship was pretty strong.
I disagree, actually. When we first started dating, he was kind of in and out, and I have reason to believe that he was messing around with other people in the beginning of our relationship.
Well, had you declared exclusivity to each other at that point, or not yet?
No, we had not.
Okay. And how long was that stage of your relationship?
First few months.
Right when she first moved here.
Well, that's like a year in, isn't it?
Yeah, no.
No. First few months of you living in LA.
Yeah.
Look, on what theory does she have to give you back the $810? The $810 is an expense you decided to undertake, and then you guys broke up.
Right. So our agreement was for that to be so she could meet my parents. She never met my parents, and
She didn't meet your parents. You kicked her out.
because she cheated on me.
Well, I don't blame you.
And,
No. But sometimes things happen. You still have to have a reason to get the money back. Like, it can't be that you're angry. Like, it has to be that she owes you that money back. Right. And how does she owe you the money back? Just because you regret now having spent $800 on her hair because you didn't get to use it,
Well, I think there's a couple considerations here. The first of which that I would like to clarify is that I wanted her to get her hair done because she insisted on it. I assured her she looked
Either
beautiful.
way, you decided you were going to pay for her hairstyle.
Right. And then secondly, when we discussed this, I imagined her new hair would cost $100, $150. She ended up going to a celebrity stylist and spent $800. And at that point,
Well, how did she do that? How much money did you give her? Or did you give her your credit card? Or how did it happen?
she sent me a Venmo request right after.
And then what'd you do? Say, hell no.
No, I was very polite. I didn't want to start any other fights.
Okay,
I
but
paid it.
I understand, and that's good. But then now you're crying about it in court. See, you can't. You made a decision to give her $810 to do her hair. Eventually, either way, you ended up Venmoing her the $810. How does that mean all of a sudden that we go backwards and create a contract and a debt when there wasn't one to begin with? There wasn't one. I realize what you're saying. Well, I only did that because I thought things would work out. That doesn't create a debt situation, darling. It just doesn't. And this one's gone, but you'll have another one, and you should kind of start fresh and be your own man. Verdict for the defendant.
All rise.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim is denied.
The only thing I have to say is this is just further proof, ladies, to never change your appearance for a medium ugly guy.
I'm surprised an $800 haircut doesn't look better.
Coming up,
Is that true or not true?
It's just no, I don't believe that's true, Your Honor. I actually.
But you're not sure if it's true.
I'm pretty sure it's untrue.
closed cap. This is Justice for the People with Judge Milian. Ernest Martin claims he wanted a walk-in bathtub for his father, not a flooded bathroom. Clay Oliver says if Mr. Martin didn't want water all over his floor, he should have listened to his instructions.
All right, Mr. Martin, you are suing Mr. Oliver for $6,000 that you say he cost you by incorrectly installing a walk-in tub. Tell me what happened.
Okay, Your Honor. So my father had to live with me. We didn't want to put him in a home.
Okay,
So,
and how old is your father?
He's 85 years old.
How did you come to hire the defendant? How did you know him?
The defendant was a old friend of mine. I used to consider him a play cousin of mine.
And so how much did you pay him?
$2,500, Your Honor.
All right, and for the $2,500, were you paying for the supplies or he was paying for the supplies?
He was picking up the supplies, part of the $2,500.
As part of the $2,500.
And then doing
So does he show you? Because I imagine that you had to approve what tub he picked out.
He told me he's going to pick out some materials, and then he finally did show me afterwards, yes.
He installs the tub, and what's the problem?
Well, one, the tub is too small. My father, as I said, is a very large fellow. He's about 420 pounds. And also the tub leaked as well.
It leaked.
Yes, there was water everywhere, all over my floor.
All right, how did you decide on which tub? I mean, the customer didn't pick out which tub?
Well, when we were about to do the job, I was doing the measurements for the tub, but he told me to scratch those and gave me his own. I asked him about it, and he said he's a realtor, and he just knows what he's doing, and he knows what houses need, so I just used the measurements he gave me. And I told
Did you give him measurements?
I told him basically pick out something that's functional.
Yeah, I know. That's not a much of an instruction, though, is it?
Coming up,
And so you install it, but according to him, it leaks.
I told him to give it 48 hours.
we're back with the case of Ernest Martin, who brought Clay Oliver to court over a small, leaky bathtub.
So according to you, he just gives you the measurements of the space.
Mm-hmm.
He leaves up to you to pick the unit that you're installing. And
Yes.
where did you buy that unit?
I bought it from a friend of mine who actually does work with wholesale tubs. I told him I could get a great deal on it, and the friend gave me a very good deal, and then I told him about it, and he seemed to be on board with all of it.
Okay. And so you install it, but according to him, it leaks.
I told him to give it 48 hours because of the quality of the product I used. It requires just a little bit more time before you can use it yourself, but I let him know that, and he
What makes
obviously
you
didn't
think he
listen.
used it before the 48 hours?
Because he told me that literally a day after I
He
initially
complained
told
a
him,
day
yes.
after that it was
Yes.
leaking. And then you told him, I told you not to use it for 48 hours.
Exactly.
And is that true or not true?
That's just no, I don't believe that's true, Your Honor. I actually.
But you're not sure if it's true.
I'm pretty sure it's untrue.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What ended up happening? It was too small for your dad?
One, it was too small for my father, but the bigger issue, ma'am, was that it was leaking. Even if
Do you have any proof that it was leaking? Do you have a video or anything?
I have a photo right here. I believe
Let me
it's
see.
also queued up here. Thank you.
Wow, that's leaking a lot.
It's leaking a lot, Your Honor. I mean, the man did a terrible, terrible job.
So was there, when he calls you and tells you this, let's assume for a second that he didn't wait the 48 hours. And let's assume that he just uses it an hour 24. Wouldn't there be a solution to that, to seal it appropriately?
I told him I would come back and seal it again. I let him know that, all right, if it is an issue with what I did, I will come back and reseal it for you.
But instead of allowing him to do that or paying someone else to reseal it, you ripped the whole thing out, hired a new contractor. You're suing for $6 grand. You want the money back that you paid him, and you want the money you paid the new contractor, so you want a free tub, right?
Judge Milian's verdict when justice for the people returns.
I think you have two issues. One is the leak, and the other is the size of the tub. And the leak is something that can be remedied.
Yeah.
But instead, you remedied your other issue, which is the size of the tub, by bringing in a whole big tub. I think you're entitled to what it would cost to repair the leak. I don't think you're entitled to a brand new, beautiful, spanking, state-of-the-art tub that you didn't buy from him beforehand, you know? So now I'm left to guess what it is that repair would have cost. How much did he end up paying you?
$2,500.
And how much did the tub that he agreed to cost?
No more than $800.
Okay. The appropriate measure of your damages is just to have the thing sealed, which you didn't even try. You had the whole thing ripped out, a new contractor, and a better tub put in, because that tub that you allowed him to pick out for you, because you weren't paying attention, wasn't big enough for Dad. And Dad probably complained. And then you said, oh, this is going to work. Let's get a whole new tub in. He doesn't have to foot that bill. I'm going to order him to pay you back what I believe that the plumbing repair would have cost to get it to seal appropriately, which is $750. Verdicts for the plaintiff.
All rise.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $750.
What we witnessed here was the death of justice.
It was promised to him, but his uncle took it back. Kyle Matthews says his nephew's reckless behavior caused an accident, so he has to live with the consequences.
Okay, Mr. Carlson, you're suing Mr. Matthews for $4,662.23 because he gave you a car, but then he took it back. Tell me what happened.
So he made a promise. He made a promise that we will work on a car together. I will invest in the parts.
He's your uncle?
Yes, ma'am. He's
okay.
my mom's
And have you always
brother.
had a good relationship with him?
Oh, yes, since younger years. He helped me grow up. He taught me how to play sports, trained me personally, and he allowed me to be older than my age, I can say.
Okay. So what happens? He decides he's going to buy you a car one day?
He felt like it was time for me to start driving, so he made an offer, a promise, that we will work on a refurbished car, a Chevy Corvette, and I will invest in all the parts. I spent $4,600 of my own money, invested in it. We worked it on together. We're not mechanics, but we took our time. It was petty things and also a paint job. So
the $4,600 represents the amount of money that you spent on parts for the car?
Parts and paint job and wheels.
Okay. But that's money you spent?
Yes, ma'am.
So what kind of car was this?
It's a Chevy Corvette.
Nice. What year?
It is a 1989.
Okay.
I also have proof of the receipt for all the parts.
Okay. Can I see that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So what happened that this nice gesture all of a sudden went south?
We knocked it out. The car was basically almost complete. Unfortunately, one night I was getting off of work. I'm a bar back at a bar. I had a drink or two, and I called my uncle for a ride. I didn't want to take a chance on driving home drunk. So I called him, asked him, can he give me a ride home? He said yes. He sounded a little hesitant.
What time of night was it?
It's about midnight, one-ish. But he said he would give me a ride home, so hey, it's my uncle. Thank you.
How far was it?
It wasn't, probably like 20-minute drive.
Okay. It's midnight. Somebody calls me and I got to drive 40 minutes? Yeah, that's a problem.
Right.
That's when you're taking a ride share. But go ahead anyway. So he goes to pick you up.
He goes to pick me up. We take the drive home. I was a little tipsy, so.
Little.
Hold on.
Unfortunately,
We'll hear your side in a second.
Unfortunately, we had an accident.
How did
before
the
we
accident
made it.
happen?
I was playing music and kind of dancing and had a little fun while I was in the passenger
Are you
seat.
in the passenger? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'm in the passenger seat. So I was enjoying myself on the way home. Thought my uncle could handle that.
I thought you
And we had an
were
accident.
How did the accident happen?
I was trying to change the music, I guess.
And okay, that doesn't usually cause an accident. So how did the accident happen?
I wasn't completely aware, Your Honor. I
Okay,
was
how did the
drinking.
accident happen, Uncle?
Well, my nephew, Your Honor, was more than inebriated. He was a lot drunk, you know, and he wasn't just playing music. He was also putting his hands in my face, obstructing my vision.
How so?
You know,
I wasn't
as
doing
he
all
said,
that.
he was having fun.
Hold on, let the man
now.
talk. Go
Hold
ahead.
on
Don't
now.
talk to each other. Go ahead.
As he said he was having a little fun, he was having a little fun putting his hand in my face,
I'm
just
sorry.
like that.
So you're driving and he's going like this?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And also,
Wait. So if you're driving and someone's going like that and moving their hands in front of your face, why don't you just stop driving?
why don't I stop driving? Well, I'm trying to get us home safely, Your Honor.
No, exactly. So why don't you stop driving, like instead of, continuing to drive?
Well, it's in the middle of me driving, and we're like in the middle of the road, Your Honor.
No, I
It
don't
was
mean
hard.
stop in the middle of the road. I mean pull over.
Oh, well, that just didn't happen, Your Honor.
Okay, so he's going like this, and you just say, all right, I'm just going to keep driving. And then what
At
happens?
that point, I'm trying to knock his hands down, Your Honor.
Okay.
And also, I don't know why he tried to take the wheel like his name is Jesus, but I'm just trying to figure out why he's trying to take the wheel. But at
He
that
took
point,
the wheel?
Yes, Your Honor.
He grabbed the wheel.
He grabbed the wheel, Your Honor.
Okay, and
so
then-
when that happened, that point, I'm pushing him over, trying to make sure he stops, and we start to veer over a little bit, and then we go into a fence, and my car gets totaled.
Okay. What kind of car were you driving?
2005 Chevrolet, Chevy Impala. Yes, ma'am.
With all due respect, what is that hoopty worth?
The hoopty, well, it's worth a lot to me, Your Honor.
Well, I mean, it's old enough to vote.
It's old enough to vote,
Yeah.
but also it's old enough to get me from to and fro to work.
Coming up on Justice for the People.
Were you putting your hands in his face and then pulling on the wheel?
I was doing a lot.
What were you doing? What were you doing? Instead of sitting there quietly and sheepishly saying, I'm so sorry I woke you up, Uncle. I mean, that's what you should be doing, and keeping your mouth shut for the 20-minute ride. What were you doing?
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-687. Judge Milian. We're back with a dispute between Jacob Carlson and his uncle Kyle Matthews over a restored car.
You feel the accident was his fault, and therefore you took over the restored
That we did
Corvette
together, Your Honor.
that you guys put all that work that you were supposed to give to him, that he put $5,000 into.
I put $5,000 into the car as well. Well, $5,600.
Right, but you were always going to give that up. Right?
Yeah,
because
as an
you were.
agreement.
Tell me how the car purchase came about and the work on it and everything else.
All right, so this is my older sister's one and only son, right? So I love my nephew. Like he said, he grew up with me. We're 10 years apart. So we did everything together. I helped him out in basketball, helped him out with sports, you know? And I noticed he loves cars, old cars specifically. And I had a friend who was selling an old car, the Corvette. And then I got it for, a steal.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $5,600, Your Honor.
Right, but which is a steal, and then you tell him, I'd like to give you this gift. We'll work on it together.
Yes.
And so then he puts almost $5,000 of his dollars into it, but the end plan is always that car is going to be his.
That was the implant until
Right, and
he
then
wrecked my car.
all of a sudden you took over it because the entire accident is his fault because he pulled the wheel.
Yes.
And that's how you. What is your answer to that?
I disagree, Your Honor.
How can you disagree or agree? You're too intoxicated to know what happened, aren't you? Or no?
Right.
Well, no, hold on.
I was intoxicated, but he agreed to get me home.
No, I understand, but were you putting your hands in his face and then pulling on the wheel?
I was doing a lot.
What were you doing? What were you doing? Instead of sitting there quietly and sheepishly saying, I'm so sorry I woke you up, Uncle. I mean, that's what you should be doing, and keeping your mouth shut for the 20-minute ride. What were you doing?
I was out of my body, I can say.
Acting like
I couldn't stop talking. You were what?
I was a little out of my body, I'm sorry.
You were a little what?
A little tipsy.
Tipsy. Okay, but what were you physically doing in the car? What were you doing?
Dancing. I was enjoying myself on my way home.
Okay, but you were enjoying yourself in the field of vision of the driver?
I guess my arms are a little too long. I'm sorry.
Okay, and then did you, yes or no, did you pull on the steering wheel?
I can't say I pulled the steering wheel. I know I was
can't?
dancing.
Or you won't?
I was a little tipsy. I'm
So
sorry.
you don't
ma'am.
remember?
I can't remember.
So I have
completely.
one witness in the car because you're too drunk to remember?
Yes, ma'am. Which
Did
he
he
kno-
ever
wh-
tell you
which he
right
know-
away?
he-
Listen up. When you sobered up after the crash, did he say, "Why did you pull the wheel?" Or did he say anything to you?
Well, after the
Hold on,
accident,
I'm not talking to you. You'll know I'm talking to you because I will be looking at you and waiting for a response. I parked my car at a valet, and when I drove off, I realized that it had been damaged. The little stub says not responsible, and so they refused to pay. What can I do?
Wow, that little stub, I don't think that is going to carry the day for them if you make a claim against
I don't think
them
so either,
in this
because they don't
instance.
hand that to you until the transaction's over.
Right.
And the essence of a contract is that the two of you are agreeing on something before
Right.
you do the transaction.
Right, they've already got the car and the keys, and boom, they hand that to you and they drive off.
Right.
Right? So, yeah, whether you've had a chance to really read it and consider it, etc., it's pretty dubious. I don't think that's going to be
The
enforced.
problem is usually that people realize that this happened a little too late.
Yes, that's
They
always the way. The
I
next
got home.
day,
It's the next day.
they
Well,
get it.
that must have been at the valet.
Yeah, it was dark out that night, and
So,
the car was perfect when I
I have
brought
done
it there.
so many of these cases
Right.
that I have this habit. When we pick up a car from valet,
Right.
if they are coming, I'm looking. I see the front of the car.
Right.
I see this side of the car. I always travel this way so that I
Yes.
can see the back of the car, and then I overstep it a few so I can see, so that now I've seen the whole car, and then I get in.
Right, you are meticulous.
I am.
You
I
have
mean, I
nothing
don't
to
sit
count.
there with a microscope or anything. But if there was big damage, I would notice it. I probably wouldn't notice a scratch. But if there was like big damage,
Right.
a
when
dent, it wouldn't go
Well,
unnoticed.
when we rent cars with a rental
Oh,
car,
yeah, but you're
I just
really
get in
lazy
them.
about
I just
that.
get in them and drive off. Marilyn, if you're with me, you always get out. Stop the car. You get out.
Wait, I don't like your
walk
tone.
around.
I don't like how you just imitated me. Stop the car.
Stop the car. Yes, and then you look at it and you look around it, and sometimes it pays off.
Of
because
course it does,
I let
because they
them
won't
know,
have noted the
there's a big
damage.
scratch over here.
And then I'm going to get stuck with it. No,
Right.
you always do that.
Right.
When you rent a car,
Right.
you always walk around it,
Right.
and then you tell the person as you're checking out, please
Right.
note the damage that wasn't noted here, here, and here. And then they,
Right. There's got to be a happy medium between me, who does nothing, and you, who are, let's face it, a little bit,
neurotic?
we might say. Like when we go...
Perfectionist.
when
That's
we
what you were
go-
going to say, right?
When you go to the drive-thru and you've got a car full of people and you've got all these different orders and the bag comes and there's people behind you who are waiting, I just grab the bag and throw it at people and I drive off. Marilyn, you make me
Check
not
the
only
order.
check every item, but then start. One guy had a burger with no pickles. I'm there deconstructing burgers and unwrapping. and looking
You
at
don't
them.
even check it.
Well, only if you make me do it.
Hopefully
I don't
there's a
wanna be
happy
jerk
medium
and- I
between-
don't want to be a jerk and audit their work.
Well,
so
to audit their work, check for each thing. It's not so hard because once you get home, guess what?
Yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You know what's really
And
bad, though?
it's kind of funny because it's always the same child in our house who always
Right.
doesn't get her order.
Or you don't get the dipping sauce with those
Yeah.
chicken nuggets
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
It's like,
Take a second.
and then you can't get it.
Coming up.
Okay. You guys crash. What is the first words out of his mouth?
I mean, I was just happy we was alive. So I really.
What did he say? You idiot. You pulled the wheel?
I mean, he made me feel like I was immature, for sure.
We're back with a dispute between Jacob Carlson and his uncle Kyle Matthews over a restored car.
Go ahead.
After the accident, we basically got into an argument, and he made it clear that he wasn't going to give me my car anymore.
Right, but what did he... Okay. You guys crash. What is the first words out of his mouth?
I mean, I was just happy we was alive. So I
Right,
really
but what
wasn't.
did he say? You idiot, you pulled the wheel?
I mean, he made me feel like I was immature, sure. But
Yeah, no. Did he blame you for the accident?
yes, ma'am. He blamed me.
Right away?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I imagine the accident sobered you up a little.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Quickly.
and so did you realize that you had pulled the wheel?
I realized that I may have caused him a distraction.
No, that's not what I'm asking. Do you, as you stand here, do you remember?
No, ma'am. I do not remember.
You just don't
grabbing
remember.
the
You're
wheel.
not
No.
saying it did happen. You're not saying it didn't happen.
Exactly.
You are saying you do not remember pulling the wheel.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, but you can tell me two things. Number one, that he says that you pulled the wheel. And number two, that he said it from Jump Street. He
Yes,
said
ma'am.
it from the moment of the crash.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. See, from what you're describing, this accident is your fault, right?
I was tipsy, and he agreed to bring me home.
Okay, I might agree to bring you home, but I don't agree for you to take the wheel of my car and cause us to crash and cost me a car. There are two different things. All I agreed to do was bring you home. I don't expect you to cost me $4,000-something, right? So I have to decide whose fault that accident is. And basically, I have one cogent witness in the car because you're admitting to me that, my arms might be long, and I was fooling around, and I was dancing. I thought he could handle it. And yeah, and you admit to me that from Jump Street, the man said to you, you just pulled the wheel of my car. That was his testimony from the beginning. It isn't something that he just made up now because he's angry and he's mad at you and he's thought about it, so he's cooked it up. No, from the very moment, from the beginning, he has said that. So if I was a betting woman, I would bet that, in fact, you ended up pulling the steering wheel. So the question is, what do we do with that?
Coming up.
So you have a choice, okay? Either he gives you the money for your car and you give him the Corvette, or you keep the Corvette and you give him back the money that he paid.
Closed captioning provided by Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with a dispute between Jacob Carlson and his uncle Kyle Matthews over a restored car.
I realize that you, what you want is the car. And I realize that what you want is the money that you are out from your car. And that's great, but if he pays you the money that you're out from the car, then that car belongs to him, doesn't it? If he pays you for your Impala, he has made you whole, hadn't he? So you have a choice, okay? Either he gives you the money for your car and you give him the Corvette, or you keep the Corvette and you give him back the money that he paid.
If he pays me the money for my car being totaled, that's totally fine. I can understand.
And then the Corvette is his. Well, I need an answer because I'm going to issue an order that's going to specifically say something. So, I need you to understand what I'm trying to say here. You gave him a gift of $5,000. You gave it to him. Yeah, the car, when you bought the car. You're taking back. Listen,
it's in my name, though, Your Honor.
Listen.
Okay.
You gave him a gift of $5,000. He hasn't taken possession of it yet, but you gave it to him because this was always going to be his car. Then he screws up and costs you $4,000-something. But also, he put $4,000-something into the car that you're driving. You see? So if he pays you the money for your 2005 Impala, okay, then he gets title to the car.
I can understand that.
All right, so is that what you want to do? Because the alternative is you're either going to have to pay him back because you're keeping not only your $5,000 that you gave him, but also his $4,600 when you keep the Corvette. You understand?
I understand that.
Which way do you want? You want to keep the Corvette or you want to get rid of it? It's your nephew. It was meant for him.
It's my nephew, but he's immature.
Yeah, no, he's totally immature. He's got drunk one night. He caused an accident. Yeah, therefore, for the grace of God, go all of us.
Judge Milian's verdict when Justice for the People returns.
Knowing that, what do you want to do? And knowing the eyes of the nation are upon you.
Your Honor, I understand he's my nephew.
Okay.
But he needs some tough love as well.
Okay.
But,
so, then you are going to have to pay him back his $4,662.23 because you have, yes, because you're keeping your $5,000 gift to him. That's the part you don't seem to be getting. You handed your nephew a $5,000 gift. I bought you a Corvette. We're going to work on it together. Then your nephew put $4,000-something into parts. So now you've got a $9,000 Corvette, you see. And then when you want to punish him for a $4,000-something mistake, you're saying, I'm taking $9,000. You get it?
Verdict for the plaintiff, $4,662.23, and you keep the Corvette. Now you are made whole.
All rise.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $4,662.23.
I'm disappointed that it was my uncle, but I'm satisfied with the outcome.